are signing your life away. There's a contract, it is binding me already. Whether you like it or you don't like it, you are staying there for a year. You need to read your contract, because sometimes you know how they say what I ordered versus what I got. Hi guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'll be sharing with you tips on house hunting in the United Kingdom as a student. Truth be told, a couple of questions in relation to this has been sent into my DM, and I thought it was high time I make a video addressing this on my YouTube channel. So if it's something you're interested in and you want to know more about before you leave your home country to the United Kingdom as a student, sit back, relax and enjoy this video. And while at it, please do well by hitting the subscribe button as well. The first thing, even before you start house hunting, is to define your budget. How much are you willing to spend on getting a student accommodation, be it private, be it the one owned by the school, private like student accommodation, or let's say flats as well. You need to define your budget, because at the end of the day, your budget will inform other decisions that you take. So for me, when I knew I was going to come into the United Kingdom for my master's program, I knew, okay, this is what I could afford, this is what I will be able to like pay on a monthly basis. Think of electricity bills, data bill, think of whatever bills that will be inclusive. Fine, as a student, you are not supposed to pay like council tax, yes, but everything that comes with like the accommodation, think of lights, water and all, and the rent itself. Think of a budget that you know you will be able to afford. Now, the irony of things in the United Kingdom is you pay on a monthly basis. Before the next month starts, you're already thinking of, how am I going to pay like my next month bill? Back home where I come from Nigeria, you pay like yearly. So once you pay your bill, let's say at the beginning of the year, you know that that bill is going to like take you for the next 12 months. But back here in the United Kingdom, you pay your rent monthly. You want to define your budget. How much will you be able to afford? And in a situation where when you come into the country, for some people, they get a job when they come into the country, so it is way easier for them to like pay their bills, because at that point they are earning in pounds already. But in a situation where you have to convert your home country currency into pounds, it can be a little bit difficult. So this is where you need to define your budget, and you honestly have to be true to yourself. Another thing you also want to look out for is the proximity of the accommodation you are looking at to your school. Do you have access to like public transport, or you have to like pay for Uber daily, which obviously as a student that's not a wise decision. For me, where I currently stay is not really far from school. It's something you can walk when it is summer, no winter though. And there's also this plan where to get on a bus for free because it is not far from school. So all I do is just tender my student ID card. This can be a win-win situation. A win-win situation kind of, because truth be told, for some reason, we all know that when you are living in an area that is kind of close to school, because it is kind of developed in a particular sense, the rent in that area can also be a little bit high, right? So that's why I said it is a win-win situation, because I know when I was an undergrad, I stayed in the school hostel, but private accommodations that were like closer to school were quite pricey compared to those that were like further away. So you also want to think about the proximity of this accommodation to school, because I mean, if it is closer to school, that means you won't spend a lot of money on transportation and you're saving money. But if it is further away from school, you have to pay for accommodation, you have to pay for transports. And as students, undergrad, postgraduate level, we all know we want to save money. I also want to talk about when it comes to like proximity of this accommodation to school. If you don't want to stay in a location that is closer to school, you also want to think of if it is easier for you to like get public transport in terms of bus, in terms of tram, in terms of train. this is something you also want to put into consideration. Reach out to people who they school in a particular school that you want to go to. Ask them for questions, weigh your pros and weigh your cons as well. What I want to talk about is the closeness of this accommodation you're looking at, or this apartment you're looking at. How close is it to let's say like shopping centers? How close is it to where you can get groceries, where you can get clothes, where you can get food stuff, where you can get like your African food? And this is who I am, this is my culture, right? So how close is it? Do I need to like go like 5 miles before I'm able to like get access to this? This is quite funny because I currently stay in an accommodation that is bills inclusive. And when I tell you it is so sweet. It is so sweet because I only pay my rent at the beginning of the month, and electricity is included, Wi-Fi is included, water bill is included, so I don't have to stress. And as a student, currently I don't pay for council tax. That is why I said it can be tricky because it's a student accommodation, and we all know that with student accommodation there's competition there. I want to rent like what's it called, like a private accommodation, like flats, like apartments. Know that they don't come bills inclusive. You only pay for your rent, and you sort out like your electricity, you sort out your Wi-Fi, you sort out like your water bill, and this depends on your level of consumption. If you are someone who loves to like on the lights anyhow, leave the tap running and all, just know that at the end of the month your bill is going to be on the high side. I was looking at some, what's it called now? I was looking at some website for house hunting in the United Kingdom. I'll do another video on this next week, so watch out for that video. And I was just looking like rents, it is not bills inclusive, and I'm like, Jesus, how am I going to survive this? Like how am I going to survive this? And where I currently stay comes with a gym as well, so I don't have to pay for gym. But this other apartments that I'm looking at now, there is no gym, it is not bills inclusive, and I'm like, how am I going to do this, right? So this is also one of the benefits for you as a student. Now I know some people don't want to like especially like married couples, they wouldn't want to like stay in like a student accommodation, right? They want to stay like in an apartment, like in a flat. It's your choice to make. But if you are a student and you're coming in as a single person who is not married or who is not engaged, then I would honestly suggest you take like a student accommodation, because it is bills inclusive, and all you have to do is just pay your rent on a monthly basis. Honestly, it saves you a lot of stress. You're not thinking at the end of the month, oh, I have to pay electricity, I have to pay for what's it called, for water. Because during winter, I'm not going to lie, that is the benefit of staying in a student accommodation. My heater, I left my heater running. When I say running, I left it running because I already paid my bill, and it's not if I'm being wasteful, but we have to keep the heater running. As a black girl, we need to keep the heater running. Yeah, so this is one of the benefits. So this is also something, this is one tip I'm giving you. This is one tip I'm giving you. If you're a student, look for a student accommodation that is bills inclusive. Emphasis on the bills inclusive, because you're gonna be happy that you did that for yourself. Opt for viewing. So now it might be virtual viewing, it can be, let's say you have someone in the United Kingdom who is your friend, you can ask them to go help you look at the accommodation. When I was renting this place, but what I did was I searched online. I always tell people when they ask me questions, I'm like, the answer you need is online. Like, it's on YouTube, it's on Google, someone has written an article on it, right? So do your research and look for the question, look for the answers to your questions. So what I did was, when I already knew where I was going to like get accommodation, student accommodation, I went online to search for this accommodation. Like, do they have like a video? I know some what's it called, like some platforms, when you check for housing and all, they have like a video of that accommodation, right? So I did that. Another thing I did was I went on YouTube, because I know that these brands are big on influencer marketing, right? They are big on PR. So they reach out to like content creators, like create videos for them, right? I went on YouTube as well to check for, this is the accommodation I want to get. Have they invited any content creator to like make a video on this accommodation? And one thing that helped me was when I decided I was going to take this accommodation, a content creator had already made a video of this accommodation. So I went to that video and I watched it, and I was like, okay, I think this is something I will like. This is something that is, this is something that suits me. This is something that I will be able to afford. This is something that I can manage. I said, opt for viewing if you can't do the viewing. I know some agents, they will tell you, okay, you call them, you'll be on the phone with them, and they'll be making like a video of the place so that you can have like a viewing of the place. Another thing is you can reach out to someone, a friend of yours or a family, to help you go look at it, or you can go to YouTube, because sometimes you know how they say what I ordered versus what I got. And you don't want that in a situation like this, because most of the accommodations here, when you've decided that you want to take it, you have to pay a deposit. When you're paying a deposit, there is also a cooling off period. I don't understand the science behind that, but there's a cooling off period, and once the cooling off period expires, you can't cancel your rent, or you can't cancel your lease, or else you have someone who is going to like take your place, right? So that is also something you want to look out for. Another thing I want to talk about is is you want to start early. Now for me, when I knew that I was going to come to Manchester, I was supposed to come in September, I will not lie, I started looking for accommodation in January. Yes, I started looking for accommodation in January. I knew that if I was going to come into the United Kingdom, I didn't want to like stay in an Airbnb before getting an accommodation. So I started early. As at January, I was always on my laptop looking, chatting with, because I was back home in Nigeria, chatting with agents, asking them questions like, and guys, you also need to ask the right questions. I reached out to the agent again and said, I'm ready, and we started the process again. So back home in Nigeria, and like I said, I started this since January. So back home in Nigeria, when everything was finalized, I paid my first deposit. I think £500. Yes, £500. I paid my first deposit, and they sent in my contract. And also, guys, this is another thing, you need to read your contract. I know people don't take their time to read things. Like, they are giving you something, and the next thing is you're just signing. You're signing your life away. Don't do that. Ensure you read your contract. If you are not clear on something, ask someone. Also, start early. The earlier, the better. Now, for me, my rent in this place is going to end in August 30th, and this is April, and I've started looking for accommodation, because it's a lot. With accommodation, you also need to think of guarantor as well. It's a lot, and it's a UK guarantor. You can't use a Nigerian guarantor. It has to be a UK guarantor. So these are some of the things you want to look out for as a student when house hunting. Another thing I forgot to include in my first point is, I know universities, of course, they have like student accommodation as well, and honestly, I wanted that, but because you know the number of people in a university, masters, undergraduate students, the number of rooms is not up to the number of students. And this is like, we can all, I don't know, but for me, I went to Federal Uni back home. Students, like, the school accommodation is never enough. So it's like survival of the fittest. I wanted that, but when I checked, they said it was gone, like gone. And we all know that this is like, most of this accommodation, especially when it's a student accommodation, is like a term to term basis. So obviously, like section now, like you use it for a year. So 500 level, you'll be in that place. Then the next year you can now move. And you can't just wake up one day and say, okay, you're moving, because there's a contract. But like that is why I said you need to read your contract. There's a contract binding you. Because I remember when I took this place, on my contract they said if I want to cancel, I'll have to bring someone that is going to replace me, right? So where do you want me to start looking for someone? So when I saw that, I was like, what if I come in here and I don't really like it and I want to like move out? So because there's a contract, it is binding me already. Whether you like it or you don't like it, you are staying there for a year. So that is also one thing about student accommodation, even the one in school. It's a contract. You can't leave until your contract runs out. So these are some of the tips you need to look out for when you are renting or house hunting as a student. Any question, if you are not clear on anything, please do well to leave it in the comment section below, and I will do justice in answering the question. In as much as it is in my power to do that, I will give an answer to it. And please do not forget to like, do not forget to share, and do not forget to subscribe as well. Share with your friend who is planning to move into the country, be it United Kingdom, United States of America, be it Canada. Share with them, because you don't know who this might be helpful for. And shout out to Shade. Shout out to Shade. I was in school the other day. I had gone to the library to work on my assessments. Late, I think around 9 p.m. I was going to the bus station, and she was coming into school, and she just saw me. She was like, your face looks familiar. And I'm like, I don't think I've seen this. In my mind, I was like, I don't think I've seen this face before. Then she goes, you have a YouTube channel? And I said yes. And she said, oh, that she watches my video. Shout out to you, Shade. Thank you so much for walking up to me that day, for speaking to me, because sometimes you see people that you watch their content and you're so shy to like walk up to them. So thank you so much for walking up to me. I was a little bit shy, but act like it's this is who you are, right? You actually put yourself out there, so you should also be able to like welcome like people walking up to you. So I also want to start this thing where I read out like people's comments and I appreciate them. So I think that is what I'm going to do now. Let me grab my laptop. So we have our laptop here. I am just going to go into like my YouTube studio. Should I go into YouTube studio? I should just go into like the videos, because I want us to have like a personal relationship. I'm currently studying digital marketing, and I've learned quite a lot of things studying that course, and we all want two-way communication. Two-way communication. Let me see, do we have a comment here? Okay, so this comment is from my last video, from the one I did where I talked about study with me, and this comment is from Meg Mentz. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. She said, I am always looking out for your vlogs, and I must say you are doing a great job with the vlogs. I love them. And I replied and I said, hi Megs, hi Megs. Thank you so much. Your comment means a lot. So shout out to you, Megs. Thank you so much. I don't know why I just said hi Megs. But hi Megs, thank you so much for leaving a comment in that video. So today's video, the first person that leaves a comment will be the next shout out on next week's video. So guys, this is going to be the end of today's video. Do not forget, like I always say, that you are enough and you matter, and everything is figureoutable. And our new word here is look good, feel good, and smell good. See you guys in my next video. Bye guys.